Hey people, here to do a base analysis of the starter decks that are coming up in DZ, not including the lyrical one. I'll get to that in a little bit. My name's Sarevsael, just trying to do some actual analytical content, and if I do it so badly it makes you do your own but better, then hell, I've done my job well enough. Things I was hoping to get through with this quick video today. I was just going to talk a bit about energy in case some of the old people who aren't up to date with what the DZ releases are, and just how they might give a damn compared to if they're not going to play any of the new decks. I'll get some surface level analysis of the non-lyrical bosses because I don't actually know enough about Lyrical Monasterio. I saw the new card that was announced today and I was like, oh hey, that's cool, but like, I just don't know anything, so I couldn't give it a good whack. I might come back to it in a separate video, maybe after all the support comes out. This is also another thing, it's all pre-support. I know if I just waited a week and a half, I probably would be able to, 3 weeks, I'd be able to come at you with like some better analysis of the actual cards and like everything they can do, but I just want to talk about what we know of them now and how we understand they interact with old things. And speaking of, got some old DR cards just listed in a couple of the slides. So the first thing is energy. Energy is a lot like, I mean, I've got Don here. I have put aside the Digimon TCG memory, but it's not really like that. The only similarity is that there is 10 and there is only 10, but it's a lot like Don for anyone who's playing One Piece right now. Energy is just something that exists entirely within D-Series, as we've found out. It says you can only put it in the ride deck, and it activates as you go to grade 1, or in Griffith Gear's case, as you ride for the first time, essentially. It exists as like a crest. It is a crest, isn't it? It's a ride deck crest. It exists in its own ethereal world. I think most people put it next to their set water zone. An energy counter accrues 3 energy every turn, and you can have only 10 at most. Being at 8 or 9, when you start your turn, you will energy charge 3, you will only go up to 10. How this affects old decks, it's interesting because the energy generator has an effect of Blast 7, draw a card. EB being green now. It almost doesn't affect old decks in the sense that, well, as so far we've seen no cards with energy. I know that, for example, Sylvan Hornbeasts are getting support in DZ1, so maybe that will mean that there'll be a Magnolia boss card that wants to energy blast. But for now, we've seen one generic energy blast card for Cray Elementals, and we've seen a couple in the ride decks that are all like in the stride deck, the starter decks, that are all just Counterblast 1, EB2, draw a card on boost if you meet a certain condition. Old decks could use those ones. I think the Cray Elemental, it's a grade 2, gets 10k, it's 10k. It is 10 shield, 15 power if you EB2 when it enters a zone. I think that one could be great, especially now that we're going up to 50 card main decks. You know, it's a very simple slot in. I think the issue with it is, though, it's easy to say that when we don't have new support, you know, because like, it's like, oh yeah, I want to put it in Gandiva, sure, but God knows that there's going to be a million cards for the Thunder Dude that might also want to go in Gandiva. It's easy to say it now, but for now it's essentially just saying like, hey look, if you don't interact with this mechanic, here's a simple card that will let you just fill up your last 4 slots. It'll give you quick defense, it'll give you simple offense, and it has a superior ride skill which also interacts with EB. At bare minimum, what this represents for old decks that don't want to interact with the mechanic at all is a turn 3, turn 4 draw. Is that extra draw going to matter? Hell yeah. Currently, as I've seen, the format is a turn 3 go second, turn 4 go first explosion format. You know, it's very much like there are a couple of decks that can make it past it, but you know, it's very easy to say that most of the momentum is put onto the first active grade 3 turn, and the second turn is to clean up. This means that if you go full send, drop your whole hand to guard, you'll have a piece to deal with. If you're going second, this means you might, if you have a crummy grade 3 turn, you need that turn 4. This gives you an extra card. I do believe I forgot to mention, but if you go second, you start with 3 energy. As you get the card, you don't actually have energy unless you're going second. So turn 2, you'll have 3 energy if you're going first, but you'll have 6 energy going second. That should be all about the basics of energy. I want to talk about the mother load of a card I've got here. These are all 5 of the non-lyrical boss monsters. As you can see, they've all got the same effect. Realistically, they're all the same card, but painted different, which is wholeheartedly an incorrect and unfair statement. A lot of these cards do actually very wildly powerful things, and they're all simple. But the important part is they all share a skill of Counterblast 1, grab Persona Ride from deck, just grab a grade 3 with the same name and get 10k. This means all the boss monsters aren't just sitting there. They're not like Mythiarch. They don't just exist on the board and go, hey, 13? It's not like Magnolia grade 4. It's like, yeah, I've got 6 attacks, but 13? You know, every deck will say, hey, look, you've actually, with no investment, with just a Counterblast 1, which I'll get to later, it's with only Counterblast 1, hey, look, I'm actually a number you have to respect. You're not just going to be able to, like, one card 2 to pass now, if I put in no effort. Which means if these decks end up feeling weaker, they won't feel too far behind, theoretically, because at minimum, they will force your opponent to respect the center column. At most, for some of the decks, it'll be like, well, it's PG or bust, right? They also all have an EB4, Energy Blast 4. All but the Stoicheia guy, which I probably shouldn't have put on bottom. All but the Stoicheia guy have an on-attack Energy Blast 4. And the Energy Blast 4 is essentially just, hey, here's my nation's way of getting a 4th attack. Stoicheia's is a bit different. I'll get to him later. It's interesting to think about the fact that we are just using energy, though, because in theory, if they don't in set 1 go hard into here's a lot of energy support cards, we know that energy is a finite resource that your opponent can only interact with. It is 3 a turn. You will have 6 on, if you go first, you'll have 6 on turn 3. If you EB4, you will have 5 on turn 4. EB4 again, you will have 4 on turn 4, 4 on turn 5, you know? So it almost doesn't matter for that one. With an exception of the Dragon Empire lad. I'll get to him later. But for now, it kind of feels like you almost don't have to care about the Energy Blast. It is just like, we wanted to make sure these decks work. But again, that's completely unfair to say, because we do not have the support yet. As it goes for a starter deck format, though, it's like, you know, of course, it's just kind of turn card sideways. The important thing is that they all seem to work on a very minimalistic scale. And they're all kind of consistent, you know? They teach new players that, like, hey, look, Persona Red's pretty good for turn 4, so you're never going to want to not have Counterblast going into it, you know, going into turn 3. Your power, your numbers are always going to be there. So it's easy to say that for now, it's going to be pretty hard to mess them up and they're going to be pretty consistent. I think that's enough loosey-goosey talking about them. I'm going to get into the first card. I've got old Flying Snake Boy here. I think his name's like Thunderous Dragon, Thunder Champ or something. It's one of those Dragon Undead Dragon situations. So, we've got the Tempo Gang coming in strong. I kinda lied when I said they all had 4 attacks. This guy still does 4 damage, just in 3 attacks. I personally love this card. I think I've played mid-range in almost any game I can think of, with exception to, like, Herdider Gruul Aggro in Magic. But this guy is phenomenal. He plays control, and he plays, God, what's the word I'm trying to say? He's mid-range, duh. It's just tempo mid-range. he always hits a rearguard, which, unless you're playing against Bastion Prime or Ava, it's going to hurt. Especially if your opponent's like, well, if I'm going to lose my grade 2 anyways, I'll just intercept with them. But then it's like, oh, cool, I'll just retire the back row. Knowing that your most important piece is never safe is a good feeling. And it gives you a sense like your opponent does have to start having multiple things they wish to care about. The 2 crit is also fantastic because, I mean, duh, it's 2 crit. You just flip 2 more, 4 damage on a twin drive, right? Haha, herder. But, you know, it just pressures a center column that wants to go hard. The interesting thing I find about this card and his ride line is that this feels like, from a base look at what they've revealed so far, they're like, hey, we want to teach people about energy. We want to do it like this. So it's like the ride line has both an energy charge and an energy blast, which other ride lines don't, and B, this is the first energy charge we've seen on a outside of the energy card. Why this is interesting to me is that you can actually really mess up your turns if you just decide to go hurdy-dur, do the thing, because the grade 1 is EB2, draw a card. The grade 2 is you can call it from Soul, or you can energy charge 3. If you go first, you EB2, you call the grade 2, that leaves you at 4 on turn 3. This is not where you want to be at turn 3. This card does not want to sit at turn 3 with only 4, because it's like, well, I don't get to pressure now. If I want to have another turn later, I can't just use this 5k crit and kill on attack. Because turn 4, it's like, yeah, sure, you might have a 33k column with a Persona Ride, but no crit, bro. Just don't guard. Again, just flip 2 crits, whatever. Shut up. I like it. I like it a lot. It seems like a very simple way to teach players about energy. Of course, this could all go out the window. It could just be, this is the deck that has on call energy charge 2, and this is a grade 3, there's a grade 2 and a grade 1 that also do that. It's like, oh cool, we'll keep calling card and get energy, which would kind of suck, but one could argue that it would be what it needs to stick up to what old cards in the format are. Something I just plain forgot. It seems like Bushiroad, I don't know if it's Japan as well, if it's just the West, have an interest in doing a DZ only format, where it's ride lines from DZ only, which means if they do really wish to focus on that as like a form of like quote unquote rotation, they won't need to focus on how good this card is compared to old ones. If that's the way they wish to go, then it'll be like, well, hey, they won't need to shove this full of energy blast or energy charge. They can make you think about it, because there are decks out there right now that don't make you think. You just play. It's like, oh, I have Youthberg. I just saw 3 of that grade 1. Cool. For playing the game, I now have all full blast. Let's go, baby. This is what we're ready for. Woo! This all being said, I'm interested in seeing how they go, because I know it said new ride lines, but they didn't say anything about the support cards. I was looking through all the cards. I was trying to do a bit of research to make sure I wasn't just flat on my ass about this. This card just seems to be the most good a deck has ever stuffed. You really just go, hey, this card is good. I will put this in. I wanted to, going into this, not just suggest like, oh, a good card for this would be this generic from set 11, and this generic from set 12, and oh, this generic from set 9. I didn't just want to say, hey, look, you could like do the Alden thing. This is just the generics from the triple rare generic from every set for the past 5 sets. Cool, that's your deck. I didn't want to go into it saying that, but like, this card really doesn't do much more. It really, like, the fact that it doesn't give rearguard a power means that PG checking this Vanguard forces your rearguards to be of substance. And I know theoretically this deck should go to like turn 5 maybe, because it's got the rearguard retiring, and if you have the other rearguards that retire, then your opponent's going to have to amass a board every turn, you're whittling of their resources, but you have to find a way to draw, yada yada, this, that, the other. So things like, oh, this is Meteor Flare Dragon. It's a 20k attacker. And plus your boost if you have one. I was looking into a couple of interesting cards, and I thought two of the interesting choices you could go with are, there's the Desert Gunner Baxter. Every time a card's killed in his column, him and the Vanguard get 5k. You know what's scarier than 28k? Going, oh cool, one front trigger, at bare minimum, one front trigger, one to pass. It's going, haha, no. Get out of here. Screw you. You know, it's like, Baxter's fantastic. Spot retiring in this situation is awesome. Baxter also has a very unique interaction where he can't be attacked, or can he be attacked, but he can't be hit by units outside of his column. It won't come up 8 out of 10 games, but 2 out of 10 games you'll be looking at your opponent being like, you fool, you absolute stooge, you know? I thought another interesting choice for this deck, Elba. Just Blaze Maidens, right? Blaze Maiden already had like a good stuff engine going for it, if I'm not incorrect. Nothing, and if you're running just the vanilla triggers, I mean, hell, even the front trigger is a Blaze Maiden. You just go, cool, you can call triggers, call Elba to back row. There's your power to the front row. That's your 30k Meteor Flare before Persona Ride, you know. But also it draws a card, and you can do it every turn. And then that makes a turn 3 38k, or with Baxter, 43k attacking Flying Snake Boy. Oh, you didn't have a PG? Haha, sucks to suck, dude. Thank God this says until end of battle, otherwise the over trigger would just kind of... yeah. Alright. Who remembers playing G... not just Premium, G era. No, actually Premium too. Who knows Zazanda? My God, man. This ride line is just like, hey, I like the thunder. Let's make the thunder together. I'm just petty because I keep losing to Zazanda in Premium. It's a very good card, and I'm a bad player. For those of you who don't know, the orders give an effect that whenever this unit stands a rear guard, both units involved get 5k. That's per order. This card already says, hey, Cow Boss 1, I'm a 23. Stand a rear guard, it gets 5k. So by turn 3, I know you have to Cow Boss 3 for this, but by turn 3, you should be saying, hey, my Vanguard is swinging for 38, my rear guard will have swung already, but will swing for plus 15, so probably 25 plus, which is not small on a restand. And theoretically, if you see the third order, it only gets bigger turn 4 exponentially, right? Quickly wanted to talk about the fact that he's a Blitz unit. I get that's probably because the Welstra dude's in the anime, but like, there's one card that says if you have a Blitz Vanguard, it's the good set order that Welstra got. I think it was a promo or a double rare. Is that important? No, you're not using that order. You probably could be funny, you could probably get in the comments and go, actually, I'm using the order. Cool, man. Do that. The important part is, if they ever want to support Welstra, and they accidentally or with malicious intent go, if you have a Vanguard with Blitz in its card name, this card might just kind of overthrow the government. Is that a bad thing? No. I like having units that can be coexistent. I liked it when they were like, hey, Leonore and Granthea have a support card. Hey, Stealth is good in a couple of archetypes in Dragon Empire. Let's do that. I think it's a good idea. It helps, you know, with the 5 Nation system, it helps making some cards feel a little more generic than others. It's just, I'm kind of concerned this card is already going to tear me a new asshole, because I'm a petty little bastard. Thank God there's only 4 attacks. The important part is, there's a lot of counterblast going into this. You know, turn 2, counterblast set the order. Turn 3, counterblast, order, and grab Persona Ride. If you have a grade 2, you want to use, like, oh, Combine Russia. Ignore that name, that's just 2 sentences below it. It's like, whoa, Combine Russia! That's Counterblast 4! So, on one hand, Bauble Mine stocks go through the roof. On the other hand, where's the Soul Blast? There's no Soul Blast. I didn't see any in the red line. Set orders don't use it. So it might be interesting to go and find really good soul-heavy cards to access the fact that you just aren't using it. Sure, you might also just, if you don't want to use Soul Blast, you just use the cat, right? Just, 2 cats, that's 40k shield. Yeah, no Dara that works, but you can also Soul Blast it out first. Some cards I found while looking through it are Pantahe, Cycles, which is pretty nice, and it feels sort of better in a 50 card deck compared to a 46 card deck. The main thing about Pantahe, X-Striker, and Combine Rusher were they're good first attacks. Pantahe is a 15k, which means at minimum, it hits a grade 3 Vanguard. At maximum, it's telling a grade 2 Vanguard, hey, go neck yourself, dude. I'm hitting you for magic numbers. X-Striker is just Soul Blast, get 10k, I'm pretty sure, or Soul Blast, get 5k. It's just a quick and easy attacker. It's a card I don't think many people remember, so it's common, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. There could be a whole stan army of Brandgate players that are like, I love X-Striker. And Combine Rusher is Combine Rusher, so, you know, thank God. It's getting a reprint. I really hope so. Yeah, I don't know about this one. Not in the sense that I think it's going to be weak. I just got nothing. I, like, looked through all the cards. I looked at it. I was like, oh, it's a Pale Moon card. I can't elaborate more than that. It is what it is. EV4, call it grade 3 or less from Soul with 10k on attack. That's not bad. Call plus 10 is not bad. It's never been bad. Your Soul is going to be full of strong cards, I hope. You know? But I can't, like, say anything more than that. There's nothing about this card that's unique. This is one of those ones that I kind of, like, is telling me I really should wait a week. You know, I really should wait and see what the support's gonna be. But god damn it, I want to make YouTube money. The important part is it doesn't consume Soul. But it also doesn't rely on having Soul either. Technically it relies on having a card in Soul, but I've seen many magicians cycle one card. So where that puts you at is if you wish to go super Soul Blast heavy and then put one card back with like Falcate on boost, that's great. Or on the other hand, because you're not Soul Blasting to call a card, you can just go like do the whole what's that? Barra Magna's grade 1. Oh, I have 10 cards in Soul. This is an 18k attacker. I thought a really funny option for this was Rurimi Rarami. Because their Soul Blast on call is not Vanguard, it's not glitter. Mainly the one that draws a card, you call it from Soul as you attack with the other one already on board. Is it strong? No. So my second funny option, I was looking at like the Cabos 1, the grade 1 Dragon Tree card. I always think that's pretty decent. Also, Soul Blast 2, just get a grade 1. If you've got no use for Soul, getting a free booster is always good. But Stalemate Dragon, he's the common, 15,000 power, gets 2k per marker, gets 2k per X cards in Soul, I think it is. The important part is you can't normal call it, but unless it's normal call to a Dragon Tree. But you can superior call it wherever you want. At minimum, that's a 25k call with your EB4. Even without the Dragon Tree Maker, it's actually not bad. It's not trash. You know, it's a strong attacker. If you just blind Soul Charge, it'll put it back like Falcated or something. You're not in a worse... You could be in much worse positions. Alright, so... mid-turn access to Creole Realm. Yeah, that's the grade 3, 1, and 2. The grade 3 rests the grade 2 to get 10k and a crit when boosted by the grade 1. The grade 2 stands itself when rested by the grade 3, Cowboss to draw. I think it's really interesting that you're able to run that, because that A is a rear guard that you want to PG when you also have a Vanguard with Twin Drive. It's like, haha, what will you PG, Stooge? But also, if you're missing a piece before your battle phase, but the other piece is in your Soul, you don't have to be too scared about it. You can actually just go straight up, oh, damn, on attack, like, I'll attack with something blind. On attack, Creole. Oh, the grade 2 is not once per turn? Oh, attack with the grade 3, rest the grade 2, count boss 1, stand the grade 2, attack with your Vanguard. Oh, wait, you only get one boost. Never mind, you get the point. That's a really funny combo, and having access to a combo mid-turn, wowee boys, we in. And the Desire Devil, grade 3 on attack whenever it attacks. Sorry. When it attacks, get 2k per standing unit, 5k if you're at 4 more damage, 5 more damage. Look, that's not a bad first attacker. It's kind of cope. I'm trying to, like, find another way to do things I was doing with the Brant Gate dude, but, you know, it's just find a decent first attack, you don't have to boost. This, that, the other. Yep, so here is our Aqua Force guy. He's Aqua Force in the sense that the Trident Dragon, Navel Gazer, was 3 attacks. I have been trying to sort my emotions out with this guy. I used to play a very rush-heavy plant dude roller deck, and it was like, hey, just call hand early. Smash them in the face. Just get them to 5 damage before turn 3. It's that easy. Very similar vibes from this guy. You will find you probably don't need to call that many cards late game from hand. Every turn you could just be EB4. Here's 2 cards. If you're not playing against a retire deck, here's 2 interceptors. Intercept with them, call them back. I've still got a back row. This card, the fact that it mills 2 every time you EB4. So EB4, mill 2, call 2 grade 3 or less cards from drop zone. Thank God this is a 50 card main deck. Wowee, lads, imagine you're thinning like 2 cards a turn minimum plus twin drive. Oh, deck out is fun. Doesn't give power, which I think is probably not fair. I was going to say it's fair, but I'm going to change my mind at the last minute. I think it probably could have given 5k to the 2 units. It would have been fine. I'm interested in the fact that it doesn't. When we see its support, it's going to be maybe like a very much, oh damn, kind of wish, you know, this was a bit weaker, but also it could just be the joke card of the far 6. Forget about the lyrical one. So, as I was saying earlier, I think this card promotes a very early game rush deck. It's just, you can turn 2, like if you open a Lenya, you're like, ditch a card, call Lenya. You either have a 10 and a 23k center column, or you have like a 10, 23 on the side column if you already have another grade 2. Funnily enough, another deck you could abuse it with that is also early game is Mythiarch. It might not proc the promo, but like, hey, imagine always having a full board of Mythiarchs and then getting the weird control. It's like, haha, I'm gonna EB4, boom, that can't intercept now. Soul Blast, that can't stand, and then, oh, I'm gonna bounce this card, that can't intercept. Haha, very specifically the one counter to Ava. Whoa, the meta killer out here. But yeah, I don't know, it's really interesting. Really don't know why it's only a 3 attack deck, but it wears the skin of an Aqua Force dude. It's just weird. That again, you will be sitting there with like a 30 card hand. Maybe this is meant to be like Tester Fox levels of like Legion era great nature. Oh, I might only attack 3 or 4 times, but haha, get through this hand. What do you mean I decked out? Oh wait, no, you can't with Tester Fox because of recurrent. Ignore that. Yeah, so this guy I think has, well, you know what? I didn't think it. My friends thought it, and then I'm going to agree because I'm a simp. This might go really hard. The Alden ride line might just work. Its ride line isn't trash, but, you know, probably just use the Alden one. It's also good. They're both just as good as each other. Let's say it like that. This guy is a Stoicheia unit. On attack, EV4, call a grade 3 or less from drop zone with 10,000 power. Cabre and Goldgown just woke up and went, alright, violence, let's go. Let's go, baby! And because it's not from top deck, with the EB4, that means you will always have it if they're just in drop zone. They are grade 2s. Unless you're playing against Narukami, you're probably always going to have them. Cabre, it's the call you get afterwards, which is the concern. That being said, just don't let them hit defensives. Oh god, that easy. Worst comes to worst, you're not getting 5 attacks, you're getting a 4th attack with a strong boost, which is more than some decks can handle. Sometimes it's like, yeah, sure, I'll go guard 10-10, take the 30, but guard the next 10. It's like, no, I'll guard the 10-10, take the 30, and then die to the 28. I was looking, Truncate Breath and Pentagleam are also pretty funny calls if you don't want to like extend or can't extend, because, and you only have to run like 1 or 2 of these cards, because once they hit drop zone, they're there. You've got them. But imagine, just like, auto attack, EB4, scry 1. Oh, over trigger. Don't mind if I do. Or you could just, you know, manifest destiny. I will always hit over trigger. Just have 16 of them in your deck. That easy. The only issue with all these cards, besides the scry, is that, like, it's a lot of cost. There is a lot of cost investment going into these combos. Really heavy. Your soul, you don't have soul charging, you don't have counter charging if you don't use stuff like Resentment's Dragon, on Superior Call, Soul Blast 2, get 5k counter charge 1, or Turn R if you have like 3 or more face down damage, shove at the soul, counter charge 1. Turn R opens a circle, so if you have that OCD about calling over a unit, same as Carebrae, but Carebrae is a Soul Blast and doesn't get you damage back. This deck's going to be really interesting because the first attacks are going to be weaker comparatively, but boy howdy, the second attacks, and the fact there's going to be 5 of them. Yeah. Again, if my analysis has been so bad that you wish I never did this and you wanted to prove me that I was bad and you were good, you make your own content that's analytical, please do. Why don't we have more? Smile.